Fox 8 Sports. This is the Black and Gold Review Show, sponsored by your Southern Quality Ford dealers and the Ford F-Series, celebrating 42 years of truck leadership.
Jags rush 4. Bridgewater throws back of the end zone. Caught! Jared Cook, touchdown, back of the end zone.
Cook is cooking. Nice job of Teddy being able to see him late because he was not the first option on that throw.
Cook from Teddy. Not exactly how it was drawn up in the preseason, but that will work. Welcome to Black and Gold Review Show. Deuce McAllister, Sean Vazan, I'm Juan Kincaid. More Jared Cook touchdowns to come?
I sure hope so.
Yeah.
I won't be upset if that is the case. So if he is cooking, let's have it.
Hey, it better be more. They paid him to score a lot more, so yeah, I think they're coming.
All right, let's get you right to the headlines. A lot to talk about tonight. Headline number one, mobbing Minshew. Cam Jordan joked after the game that Jags QB Gardner Minshew was about 5'9". His point was the Saints kept him in the pocket, made him throw through them and over them, sacked him twice, picked him once. They really just made him prove that he could be a pocket passer.
Well, I think the biggest thing is they took away his first option a lot of times, and so that made him either have to reset his feet or make him have to check the football down. And I think for them, they were okay with doing that. The one thing that you knew, if you're the Saints, you can't get beat over the top. You can't let him extend plays by breaking containment, and they did a pretty good job of keeping him in the pocket.
Look, Minshew looked frustrated. He looked confused. As Deuce said, they took away his first read constantly. The only time they ever had any success was kind of off those little kind of misdirection type plays where somebody would kind of pop wide open. But for the most part, he just did not look like the same player. The ball came out awkwardly. And look, it was just another great performance by this defense, right? 257 total yards against Dallas, 252 total yards against Tampa Bay, 226 allowed total yards against Tampa Bay. And look, they've needed every last bit of it. This defensive effort over the last couple of weeks has been outstanding.
It would seem to me that when you're facing, and a number of teams are dealing with this right now, with the backup or the backup to the backup playing, that eventually they're going to hit a bit of a wall and see some things they haven't seen before because no one thought they'd be in this position so soon in their careers.
Well, they didn't think that they would be in those positions, but the other part of it is you have to do what you do well. Even if it's showing some type of defense, you still have to be able to cover those guys. And I think that's probably the most impressive part. Even if it's different looks, they did some different things that they may not have normally have done in the first couple of weeks, but I think that they were able to still have the integrity of the defense, which was what they needed to have.
Look, I read today that they did a cover 2 man concept. Basically, they let Eli Apple and Marshawn Lattimore, I think it was Luke Johnson, they wrote that they ran man-to-man with 2 of their receivers and also had safety over the top. So basically, they had double coverage on the receivers, which goes to show you how little they respected anybody else but the top 2 receivers. But the plan worked. It worked to perfection because, I mean, they really look lost, the Jaguars offense. Headline
number 2, Cook in the clutch. Jared Cook catching balls that an athletic tight end is supposed to catch. That throw from Teddy Bridgewater late, great location by Teddy. Saints' patience going to pay off, it would seem, with Cook as we go forward here.
They're definitely going to need him to be a contributor. I mean, because you know what teams are going to do. On that touchdown throw, the first option was Michael Thomas. That's where he was going with the football. And it was almost like Mike was not only double-teamed, almost triple-teamed because the middle linebacker even shaded over that way. So for Teddy, you know, he checks quickly over to Alvin, but he knows he has Cook coming across and almost running like what you would call a skinny post or just an over route, and he places it high just so the tight end can catch it.
We'll have a film study on that exact play coming up next segment. But, yeah, if you look at that touchdown, it kind of illustrates why they need him, right? Because Michael Thomas was covered, was doubled. Kamara was kind of covered in the flat. Kamara obviously wasn't 100%. So they need someone else to step up and make a big play. And it was the kind of catch where only a guy his size can make. So I think he's turned the corner. And I still think the last 2 weeks were great. But a big Jared Cook game is coming.
I was going to say, Sean, it seems like that he's kind of building towards something big, and the Saints kind of need him to do that because outside of Michael Thomas, the receiving options haven't really given you much outside of Thomas. And so it's an opportunity for him to kind of fill those gaps in there and have his big breakout game.
There's a need for that, for another pass catcher to kind of emerge. And he's, like I said, I think it's coming very soon.
All right, headline number 3, Latavius's labor load. What a 72 hours it was for Latavius Murray. Wife goes into labor Thursday night late. She has their baby late Friday night. He has his most productive game as a Saint on Sunday, and he felt motivated by the birth of his new son, Marley. We figured that Murray's role would increase in this game against Jacksonville, mainly because Alvin Kamara dealing with a bit of an injury. But if he keeps playing like this, I think Sean Payton's big problem is going to be, how do we get the ball in this guy's hands even more going forward?
That should be a problem of his anyway, though. I mean, you've got to be able to use Murray as a weapon. He's too good of a player not to be used in that manner. And so I know Sean has even said it himself. He's got to figure out ways to get him more involved, and not just as a traditional runner. There you see him being able to run the screen pass. But I think that he can wear down defenses for you, but also he has the ability to be able to break tackles and basically be able to score touchdowns for you. So you have to figure out a way to get him involved, because you want both of those guys fresh as the year comes to a close.
And look, Kamara's banged up right now, and part of me wonders, is the workload maybe catching up to him a little bit? He's got, it was an ankle, now it was maybe a knee during the game. Nothing major, but kind of those minor bumps and bruises that add up. So perhaps this is kind of the avenue where you kind of build up Latavius here, give him more touches. He had 8 carries, 44 yards, 3 catches, 35 yards, and every catch he had seemed like it was a big catch. He had a touchdown call back. He's a downhill runner. So I like the emergence of Latavius Murray. Hopefully this is a sign of things to come here as we get into deep October, into November, and into December.
It almost feels like that Murray was kind of a bit pigeonholed at the beginning of the year, thinking, okay, he's going to be a power running back. How can he fill in for what Mark Ingram took with him to Baltimore? You feel like he's filled in pretty well? It just hasn't been given the opportunities, Deuce?
Well, I think it's an opportunity deal. They've hurt themselves, like Sean kind of said. He scores a touchdown on the screen pass, or at least that particular play, but they call Mike for holding on that play. I mean, but he is a capable receiver. He's obviously a capable runner. It's just finding the plays that work for us in this offense with this offensive line with himself.
Okay, headline number 4, Trust in Lutz. Let's flash back for a second. 2016, when Sean Payton picked up rookie kicker Will Lutz and cut a veteran who was very good, Kai Forbath.
His workout was outstanding, and we felt Kai had done a great job. We certainly weren't looking to replace that kicker. We knew Baltimore had a pretty good young talented player. I'd heard that Coach Harbaugh and a few of their staff members had talked about this young player that they had as a rookie, and so we brought him in for a workout, and it's probably the best kicking workout I've ever seen.
We all laughed a bit back then. Trust in Lutz. He's made 34 straight field goals on the road. That ties an NFL record right now. He's only missed 1 kick this season. And I asked Deuce this on the 2-minute drill early today. Is he the best kicker in the NFL right now? Sean, your thoughts?
I think he's up there. I mean, is there ever a doubt when he steps on the field that he's not going to make it? I mean, that peace of mind is certainly something it's invaluable if you're a head coach. And, Sean Payton saying that kind of forced him to be patient with Lutz. Because remember, in 2016, it wasn't just he came on the field and nailed 100% of his kicks. I mean, he had some trouble when he first started. It took him a while to find his groove, but the last year and this year, 17, 18, and now 19, he has been spot on, certainly validated which Coach Payton saw in him, and also that big contract he signed this offseason.
Well, you go back and you talk about 16, it was his low kicks. It was the long, low kicks that kept getting blocked. You go back to the Denver game, you go back to the Giants game, and so it was just, man, he can be accurate if they get up as far as he gets the height on those balls, and he's been outstanding. I mean, now he comes into the game. If it's over 50, then I look. But outside of that, Lutz, that's Will, that's good. I mean, and so it is something to see if he misses anything from 50 and within. And
again, I say we laughed a bit when Sean Payton made that quote a few years back. But this is based on, this may be the most impatient person in the NFL when it comes to kickers.
He had like 11 over 10 years.
Yeah.
It was an insane stat that he had. And all of a sudden, he had to be patient because of what he said. He rolled the dice on this guy, and he found his guy.
All right, headline number 5, winning is breezy. The Saints are making winning look easy without Brees. Drew Brees watching from the sideline. The Saints, led by Teddy Bridgewater, have won 4 in a row. A sign of just how good this team really is.
I think it's a sign of how good this team really is and the depth that they have overall at certain positions. So, not to take anything away from Teddy. Teddy's done a really good job of being able to navigate this offense and being able to put points on the board. But you just see how good they can be when, Drew Brees is in the helm. He understands the offense. He knows where he wants to go with the football. He's had a tremendous amount of reps. So if they're playing this well now, continue that same path all season. That's what you ask them to do, once Drew does return.
That was the immediate sort of feeling I got after the game was, if this defense keep playing this way and the special teams keeps playing this way, when Breeze comes back, if they maintain that edge, I mean, they could dominate teams. They've needed this total team effort now with Breeze out. I mean, had the defense not been as excellent as they've been the last 3 days or last 3 games, would they be 4-0 without Breeze right now? I don't know. But fortunately, they don't have to worry about that. So when Breeze comes back, hopefully it's a sign of we're dominant on defense and special teams, but now we get 9 back. We're dominant in all 3 phases.
The best thing about it is that they found different ways to win football games. It hasn't been just, oh, we need Teddy to get a touchdown or we need Alvin Kamara to be special. It's been all over the field. Special teams, defense, offense. I mean, it's been everyone getting an opportunity.
That's the young talent that you really have, as well as veteran talent that's mixed into there. But that shows you the draft picks that you've had, how they've come together, you know, the free agent signings that you've had, how they've come together, and they're playing as a team.
All right, coming up, Teddy Bridgewater may have only thrown 1 touchdown, but it was a masterclass in decision-making and precision. Sean breaks down that film next. And should the Saints explore adding some extra wrinkles to their offense? We'll answer your questions coming up as well. And be sure to subscribe to the Fox 8 Overtime podcast for more Saints analysis on demand. You can find our podcast on fox8live.com, the Final Play app, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. Stay with us.
Black and Gold Review Show is sponsored by your Southern Quality Ford dealers. You're watching the Black and Gold Review Show, sponsored by your Southern Quality Ford dealers and the Ford F-Series, celebrating 42 years of truck leadership.
Welcome back in. Sean just came back in from the film room. What'd you discover?
Well, discovered quite a lot. He only had 3 catches, but they were all big. Jared Cook had his 2nd straight good week for the Saints, and in tonight's film study, a closer look at his touchdown that showed both a good read, a great pass, and a great catch.
Fazan's Film Study, sponsored by Rejuvenate Medical.
The Saints are in their 11 personnel with Michael Thomas solo on the right side. On the left, it's Ted Ginn Jr., Austin Carr, and Jared Cook, with Alvin Kamara in the backfield. The routes are Thomas will run a hook about 3 yards deep into the end zone. On the opposite side, Ginn will run a quick in from the outside. Carr will run a slant from the slot, and Cook will also run a slant to the middle part of the end zone. The first read on this play is Thomas, and this shows just how much teams respect him. Look at 36. He's on the inside to bracket Thomas. Bridgewater sees it and goes to his second read. His decision is fast. The window is there for Cook, but closing quick. Bridgewater then fires a strike to only where Cook can get it, but it still requires an athletic play by Cook, who elevates and catches the ball for the game's only touchdown.
Second game in a row for Cook scoring a touchdown. The offense certainly wasn't great Sunday, but they made just enough plays at the right time, and it kind of feels like that's been kind of the theme throughout the 4-game win streak. It's not great, but when they need a play, they seem to make it.
Well, and really the second half, I thought they were a different team. I thought that they came out, they ran the ball, they hit them with a couple screens. Second half, I thought they were a different team, and they were able to really run the ball in the second half because at halftime, they only had 8 carries, and I think they were able to kind of, 8 carries for 11 yards. So I thought they were able to kind of soften them up, and it paid off for them.
All right, let's get you right to some questions. Plenty in the mailbag tonight using the Final Play app and the Final Word feature. Why can't the Saints line Jared Cook up as a wide receiver? That from George and Metairie.
Well, George, they actually do use him as a wide receiver. I mean, that play that Sean talked about, that's him lined up as a receiver. He's flexed out and not an in-line tight end lined up right beside the offensive lineman as far as the tackle is concerned. So they do use him as a wide receiver.
Remember last week, the fake spike kind of deal with Teddy, and they threw the slant route right here to Jared Cook. He was solo on the outside. That's lined up as a wide receiver, so it happens quite often.
Our next question comes from Neil Adams down LaRose. Neil, thanks once again. Part of the offense's arsenal when Darren Sproles was here was the delayed pass out to Sproles in the flat. Couldn't Deontay Harris fill that role?
Well, one thing that Darren Sproles was, he was a true running back, and with Deontay Harris, he's not really a true running back. So they've used him on jet sweeps. They've tried to use him on screens, inside screens, as far as the little tunnel screen to get him open in space. But, you know, you would have to line him up in the backfield if you're going to be using him like you would have used Darren Sproles. And
Deuce, you know this. There's a different kind of skill when it comes to a screen pass. There's a timing element. You got to set your blocks up. You got to know when to hit the seams. Whereas opposed to if he's on the jet sweep or return the punt, it's catch the ball and go. And I just think he's better in that role. So it's an interesting thought because of their size similarities, but I think overall he's in the right spot.
And Sproles was pretty special at what he did. All right, coming up, the Saints traded for Eli Apple last season. It worked out. Could another acquisition be in the works this year? And the Saints have a 4-game win streak heading into Chicago to face the Bears. It's a team that they've beaten 4 straight times dating back to 2011. We'll preview the Bears next.
You're watching the Black and Gold Review Show, sponsored by your Southern Quality Ford dealers and the Ford F-Series, celebrating 42 years of truck leadership.
Welcome back into the show. Let's get you back into the mailbag. That's the thing we love about this show. So many questions from the fans using that Final Word feature on the Final Play app. This question from Ozzy and Kenner. He says, do you think the Saints will make a trade before the trade deadline in 2 weeks? And if so, who might be the player they would go after?
I don't know the player, but I have a feeling I know the position. And I think that's at wide receiver, another pass catcher of some sort that can get downfield and help take some pressure off of Mike Thomas. So Ted Ginn's had a pretty good year this year, but you certainly would like another receiver in that mix because Traquan Smith has been banged up. So I don't know who it's going to be, and I don't know if they're going to get it, but I would imagine they're going to be working the phones trying to get a receiver.
Sean, they have been working the phones. They have been working the phones just to get a feel for what's out there, what are teams asking for. Now, whether they whether they do a deal or not, we'll wait and see. But I agree, they are always going to be aggressive, and if they think somebody can come in and help them this year, they're going to make the move.
Our next question comes from John in Meridian, Mississippi. He says, to avoid a holdout situation, seeing the value of Alvin Kamara in this offense, wouldn't it make sense to go ahead and extend him before he has a monster year again?
The way the CBA is set up, they cannot do a deal with Alvin Kamara until he has 3 years of service in the NFL. His first opportunity to get a contract extension would be this offseason. The last day after the last regular season day, they can negotiate a contract with him. Now, whether he and his agent want to do it then, we'll kind of see. But trust me, they want to get him locked in for another 4, 5, 6 years for sure.
No doubt about that. Other than Drew Brees, I don't think there's a more invaluable player to the Saints offense based on his versatility and the way Sean Payton likes to be creative with personnel matchups and formations than Alvin Kamara. A unique player. It would be interesting to see how his negotiations go as far as determining his value, what kind of gauge they use. Different topic for a different day, but for the purpose of this question, it's not happening right now. It's got to happen when the regular season comes to an end.
I did want to bring that up, though, as we're on it now. It's almost the Jimmy Graham effect. When Saints had to re-sign him, give him a new contract, it was like, is he a tight end or a receiver? Graham obviously wanted to be the tight end money. This situation, how do you designate what Kamara is? Right now, he is the primary running back in this offense. Will the Saints have to pay him like a running back and maybe pay him more than any other running back in the league?
Yeah, well, he's an hybrid, obviously, running back. So you think about some of the guys, Le'Veon Bell, that type of guy, but obviously he can be your bell cow. As far as a running back, you just have to worry about the number of touches that you give him and how fresh you can keep him. So it'll be the running back category, even though he does other things for you as far as a receiver is concerned.
Yeah, I actually think it's a little easier than the Jimmy Graham situation. I think it's pretty clear. He's a running back who has a very versatile skill set, but I think it's pretty clear he's a running back.
All right, coming up, the Bears have had a week to recover from their loss to the Raiders in London. We'll preview a Chicago team hoping to get back their starting quarterback, Mitch Trubisky. That's next. Stay with us.
You're watching the Black and Gold Review Show, sponsored by your Southern Quality Ford dealers and the Ford F-Series, celebrating 42 years of truck leadership.
Trubisky, who drops, looks, guns it downfield, and it's intercepted. The Saints have picked it off. Coming back to the 35. Get down, Lattimore. He doesn't go down easily, but he does go down now.
That was then rookie Mitch Trubisky throwing a game-sealing interception to then rookie Marshawn Lattimore in 2017. The Bears are hoping to get Trubisky back this week from a shoulder injury. What do you make of the team coming off their bye week, losing to the Raiders over in London?
If I'm the Saints, I don't know how much worried you are if Trubisky is back. I think Chase Daniels, obviously, you're familiar with Chase and what he can do as far as a quarterback is concerned. But Trubisky has been so inconsistent.
Yes, he has.
And I think that's probably the thing that has held them back when you look at this Bears team, because they're expected to compete, not only for the NFC North. And so I think they're a little frustrated with Trubisky at quarterback.
I don't worry about Trubisky or Chase Daniel.
Yeah.
I worry about the defensive line.
Yes.
And that is one of the best in the NFL. So, and they got one player on that team that the Saints know quite well on that line, and Akeem Hicks. And, of course, they have Khalil Mack. So that's the matchup I worry about.
When you look at the defenses they've played so far this year, does this one rank at the top?
It's going to rank definitely at the top of the defenses that they've already played. And Akeem, he got banged up a little bit. He had already come back from an injury, and so I'm unsure if he'll actually go. But you know what you have to do against Khalil Mack, and then some of their fronts that they like to use as far as Eddie Jackson and some of the corners, safeties that they like to run. It'll be a tough matchup for them, but you have to be on your job because that defense will frustrate you.
Sean Payton talked today and kind of bragged a little bit about Armstead and Ramczyk being two of the best bookend tackles in the league. They'll get their test this week.
Absolutely. Look, and they've been tested all year now. Don't get it twisted. But look, Khalil Mack is the best in the business when it comes to coming off the edge. So yeah, both tackles will certainly get their money's worth.
Okay, and a reminder that the Black and Gold Review show is only a part of our Football on Fox 8 schedule throughout the season. More Saints talk as well as some college and high school chatter on the Overtime Tuesday night show. We've got a full preview of the Bulls on Wednesday night. Game plan, the Bears on game plan Wednesday night. Friday is time for the high school football show with Sean Vazan, Chris Hagan, Garland Gill. And Sunday it's game day routine. Fox 8 Live, tailgate 10 a.m. Kickoff in the afternoon. Wrap up the day with the final play at 10:30, and then we do it all over again as we do it every week here on Fox 8. Don't forget a big Thursday nighter this week right here on the network, Chiefs and Broncos. Until then, for Deuce and Sean and everyone here at Fox 8, I'm Juan Kincaid. Thanks for watching. Our next newscast is at 4:30 in the morning. Have a great night.
This has been the Black and Gold Review Show, sponsored by your Southern Quality Ford